If you want to know how to work with high-profile influencers and tips for using social media as a real estate agent, watch this episode. Welcome to Real Talk. I am your host, Carlos Gil, joining you from the Nasdaq market site in New York City. On this episode, I sit down with Joe Loresca, who is the founder of Noise and the co-founder of Curate Media Group. Joe, welcome to Real Talk.
Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here on the set.
You look good.
You always look good, my man. Let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
On a previous episode of Real Talk, I had Ryan Serhant, along with Dex in the City.
Good guys.
Yeah, great guys. And also Carl Franzen, who's the editor-in-chief of Inman News.
Also great.
We talked about social media on that episode. We talked specifically about how real estate agents can leverage social media. And throughout the interview, Ryan gave you a plug. So, I said, let me get one of the brains behind the scenes on the set, because there's a lot of real estate agents out there as we embark into 2019 that are looking to learn about how to use social media for real estate, how to grow your brand. Before we jump into that, let's talk about your background. How is it that you got to work with Ryan Serhant?
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Very, very long story, but I guess the short story is I emailed him 56 times, and I sent him a couple pitch decks, and he just wasn't answering me. Finally, he asked me to come to the office, and yeah, the rest was history. Yeah.
So let me get this straight. You emailed a well-known influencer and celebrity who's on national television over 50 times, and your pitch to him was, hey, I want to come work for you, give me a shot?
Well, what happened was I was running a company called Noise, and I'm still running Noise, and basically Noise is a company to help celebrities and influencers make noise, right? Just get bigger, more exposure, et cetera, launch new projects. And I saw a huge opportunity for Ryan to do more of what he was doing. And obviously Ryan is insanely successful, one of the hardest working people I've ever worked with in my life, by the way. And I wanted to work with him. He had 2 shows and a book, and I felt like I could help him. And I sent him a pitch, and after sending 56 emails, he's like, all right, I'll take a meeting with you. And he said, look, I don't want to hire another agency. Agencies pitch me every single day. I'll let you still run your company. I know you love being an entrepreneur, but I need you here more than just being a consultant. So he was like, prove to me you can change my life, and I'll change yours forever. And I started working the next day.
So you roll the dice, he rolled the dice on you, and it all worked out. I love it.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of passion and persistence, especially persistence, because oftentimes people will send one email and they'll never hear a response, or they'll send a tweet and they never hear a response, and they give up and they say, oh, this person's too busy. From what I'm hearing here, you had to hit Ryan up over 50 times for him to see your name in his inbox, for him to eventually say, who is this Joe guy? What's he all about? Would you say that's a strategy that works for engaging any celebrity or any influencer?
Yes and no. I think the biggest thing is being persistent, not being pushy, but showing value at the same time. I like to credit a lot of my persistence to my mom. I'm a son of an immigrant. She came here when she was 16, and she was a single mom, and she had to figure things out. And so when you don't have much, you have to get creative. And so same thing with Ryan. I just knew that he obviously was getting, he's on 2 shows, he's got a book, he's busy, right? He runs the most successful real estate team in the world. And so I knew I had to get creative, I had to show him value, and I think that that's like the biggest advice I can give to reaching out to someone who's of that status, if you will.
So what I'm hearing is if you want to work with an A-list celebrity or high-profile business executive, like in this case, Ryan Serhant, not only do you have to be persistent, but you also have to show up and present to them how you can drive value for them.
Absolutely. Value, always value over persistence.
So maybe explain a little bit more, like, how did this unfold? Were you providing some recommendations to Ryan, like, hey, here's how we can take your Instagram or your YouTube to another level?
To be completely honest, I didn't really know that much about social media before I started working with Ryan. I come from a very tech startup background. The first company I ever joined out of college, we sold it to Amazon. I wasn't a founder, so I didn't cash out, disclaimer. But it was a great learning experience, and it was basically Uber for everything. And so it taught me to think on my feet. And if I didn't know something, there's Google, right? And if you are persistent enough in learning something, you're gonna learn it. And if you don't know how to do something, there are people out there that you can tap to help you. And if you're good at selling, you can get them to join you. And that was kind of the thing with Ryan. There wasn't like one specific thing that I pitched him. I was like, hey, you have a lot, you can be bigger. And that's kind of what ticked Ryan. Ryan's always, his phrase is expansion always in all ways, right? And so if someone comes to him and says, hey, I have this idea for you and I think this can help you, he'll listen. And that was kind of how it got started.
So explain, how different is it working for previous employers to now co-founding a company with Ryan, or a high-profile celebrity? Is there any difference in working with him versus a regular boss?
I think way more accountability.
Okay.
I think clearly in startups, there aren't any hours, right? You're building something, so you can always be thinking of a new idea or working on something new or just building the company in general, or thinking about the company, right? With Ryan, with Noise, with Serhant Media Group, we can always be doing more, and you're accountable. You're accountable to someone who's super successful and has a super high bar for excellence. And anyone I work with through Noise as well, they're crazy successful. They're working on their dreams. They're transitioning careers. They're launching new films. They're launching their new debut album. It's a lot of pressure. So I would say I love it, but being accountable is extremely important.
Accountability is a major key, I agree. Now, for someone that's not familiar with Noise, which is the company that you founded,
right.
What is Noise?
So Noise is a tech-enabled entertainment company. We're a media production and agency, production company and agency. And so we help celebrities, influencers, and brands make noise. Not just through social media, sometimes that can be through launching a film, launching someone's YouTube channel or a docuseries, or an up-and-coming artist saying, hey, I have this new album, I have a huge following, or I don't, help me get it in front of more people. We also work with people who are super established. One of our clients is Yes Jules, who is obviously a huge social media influencer, but she's the CEO of one of the biggest entertainment companies right now, or super pop culturally relevant, right? And she also wants more and more, and she's looking for ways to continue to make noise, whether it be through PR, through social media, through content, and we kind of figure that out.
So transitioning over to where you're at now, was the thought when you were emailing Ryan over 50 times, like, I've got this company, It's media production, we're helping influencers out, and Ryan Serhant, we want to lock him in as like one of our big high-profile clients?
Not at all. I was in a really, really weird headspace. I had just graduated about 1.5 years ago. We sold that company, but I was just an employee, like I said, and I kind of just felt like I was spinning my wheels. When you're an entrepreneur, you have 1,000,001 ideas, and probably 1,000,000 of them suck. And it was just not making money, and so I kind of was like, you know what, let me just go take a job. So I started throwing feelers out there, got a ton of denials, if you will. And actually, funny enough is I wanted to work for Vayner, and I got denied a couple of times as well. And I was like, what do I do?
Did you email Gary Vee throughout the process?
I didn't, but our first collab on Ryan's YouTube channel was with Gary Vee, which was full circle and like unbelievable. That was our first episode.
So I'm curious though, if you emailed Ryan over 50 times and you wanted this job at Vayner, why didn't you email Gary?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I mean, I guess Ryan was, I guess I'm just attracted to Ryan's work ethic. Okay. Not that Gary's, he has crazy work ethic, but I was just attracted to Ryan's personality.
Okay.
Ryan is, and I wanted to learn from that. And so, I guess like going back to your first question was, I got a couple job offers, and it was a significant job offer.
Okay.
It was, hey, you can move to the city. I'm from Staten Island. It was a good amount of money. And then Ryan also gave me an offer that same day, but it was to be a Noise client. Now, obviously, he wound up being more than that. But something in my gut told me, hey, go work with Ryan. It was less secure, obviously, and I didn't really know everything I was about to do, but it paid off.
Now let's talk about Serhant Media Group.
Yeah.
So the work that you currently do. Ryan has not only a presence on Bravo, which is cable television, but he is building and has a significant presence on social media, right. YouTube, he's vlogging. Is that the work that you're doing with Ryan at Serhant Media Group?
Yes, and the aspirations are to do more, like bigger productions. I guess the biggest thing with Ryan was, hey, he had these 2 TV shows. He has this book, crazy exposure. He's always in the press, obviously. But what I like to call YouTube channels or new methods of distribution, it's free controlled press. So you and I have an idea, we have a following, we want to launch something. We don't have to wait for a PR company to pitch us. We don't have to wait for our show that airs on Bravo or NBC and say, hey, can we include this new book? Can we plug it in? If you own your channel or you own this show or whatever, like your show, you can talk about your things.
Right. You can handle distribution, scheduling, promotion,
everything you want.
Partnerships, sponsorships, guests.
Absolutely, you control it all. And we've grown. We launched his YouTube channel. It took a lot to convince him. He was like, I'm on 2 TV shows. Why do I need another show? It's become part of his daily life now. And we launched it about 11 months ago. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. We've done collabs with Gary Vee, Eric Conover, Sarah Dietschy, who I know is recently on here and is awesome. We have one coming up with Casey Neistat. And yeah, it's just growing. And it's helped him grow even more and get in front of new audiences. And it's been great. So
let's transition over to talking about social media for real estate agents. You have over 2 million realtors in the United States. And then you have Ryan Serhant, like the big dog, right, in the space, who's on national TV, like you said, has a media team behind him. Most real estate agents don't have a media team behind them. So in this market today, how can real estate agents stand out using tools like an iPhone and an Instagram account?
I think it's just getting started. I know it sounds super cliche. I know Gary Vee always talks about this, but it's just getting started. Even if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, I know that getting in front of a camera and doing this, or just sitting in front of a DSLR, it's a lot of pressure. You don't have to do that. You can kind of just start talking about your work. And obviously not in an egotistical way, like I just sold this house or I just made X amount of money. I think people read right through that and it's not authentic. But I think if you can combine personal and what you do in your career and you show that you love your career, people gravitate towards that. People love when people love what they do, right? And obviously not in an annoying way, but if you start putting it out there, and it doesn't have to be through Instagram, it doesn't have to be a selfie, it doesn't have to be this. It can be on Medium, it can be on LinkedIn. You could write, you can tweet out little quotes, but it's just getting started, and one thing leads to another.
How important would you say it is for real estate agents to post less about what they do on a day-to-day basis? So for example, as a consumer, I'm probably not gonna follow every real estate agent in Los Angeles. Absolutely. Because they're just posting about homes. But instead, if a real estate agent has their profile that says realtor in it, or real estate agent in downtown Los Angeles, and they're posting content that appeals to me, right, like about sports and going out, right, and restaurants, like how important is it to do that and build a personality within your community versus just being viewed as another real estate agent on social media?
Way more important than the latter, absolutely. People want to work with people, right? You're an awesome person. I want to talk to you, whether it be here or later or the next day. People want to work with people, and so it's so important to put out your interests. Let's say you're a Patriots fan, God forbid.
All Dolphins here, so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Ricky Williams.
We've had bad string of luck.
And that may gravitate someone who's also a Dolphins fan, right? So I think it's very important. You know, again, at the end of the day, like I can't hammer this enough. People want to work with real people.
What defines you as a real person? Like, let's break down what that means. Because, no, I'm with you. Like, I say that all the time.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Public speaker, work with real estate agents. Of course. So I always say that line, like, people don't relate to logos, they relate to people.
Right.
Let's break that down, though. What makes you real?
What makes you real? I mean, there's no, like, textbook answer to that. I think that if you go to someone's Instagram, because we're talking about social media, you can quickly tell whether someone's being very advertorial, as opposed to, hey, this is my family, this is the stuff I'm interested in, and this is what I do, and I love what I do. But it's like an afterthought, and it's like an easy, subtle way. I mean, you could do it in an easy, subtle way of putting it out there, right?
So let's talk about the content.
Right.
What sort of content should real estate agents be mixing on their feeds, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube?
So real estate agents ask me this all the time. I don't think you should be a walking billboard. Like you said, I don't think people don't want to follow every realtor in the world. They want to follow an actual person. I think mixing eye candy and not just, and by eye candy, I mean like really cool real estate photos, whether it be a picture of Central Park or a picture of the Chicago skyline, and not just, hey, I just sold this property, or hey, I just listed this thing. It's important to do that, but talking about every piece of work that you do in the same way, like you don't talk about every meeting, right? But you may talk about the big meeting that might happen this afternoon. But if you did that every time, people would be like, okay, here's Carlos at another meeting. So I think it's mixing like the eye candy and reposting things that aren't necessarily yours that you appreciate, that make your feed or your profile or your articles look a little more relatable and a little more fun.
How important, though, is it to be viewed as an influencer within the real estate industry?
I don't think it's that important. I think that if you have a track record and you've shown real success, you've proven success for people, and it doesn't have to be a Ryan Serhant. It could be someone in Milwaukee, and you said, hey, like, I helped this real estate agent in Milwaukee who was just selling rentals, and now he's selling $500,000 houses every other week. That's insanely impressive. And if you think about it, that could be more volume than Ryan does. Maybe.
Possibly. Different markets.
Different markets, but it's still...
I've seen listings here at $10 million listings. And it's a 2-bedroom apartment on like the 70th floor of a building.
Very true. It is outrageous. Those take a little bit longer to move, but yeah.
Now, what would you say are maybe 2 or 3 of your top tips? So real estate agent puts you on the spot. They say, you know what? I'm just getting started, or I've been using social media for a while and it's really not working out. What would you say to them? Like, you know what? These are the top 2 or 3 things that you have to do every day, every week, every listing.
I could probably name 100 things, but I would say if social media isn't your thing, you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, find someone young who you can either use as an intern or pay them something, and who understands social media more than you, and have them help you. I would have done it. There are tons of people out there who are looking for experience. There are tons of, Ryan has tons of interns, right? And people start as interns and then become his #1 agent on his team. So I've seen that happen. So find someone who wants to help you. And I think that if you find someone who genuinely wants to help you, that's way easier than you trying to figure it out yourself. Secondly, curate your feed. Don't just post everything. I know a lot of people say to post every day. I don't actually agree with that. I think post when it feels natural. Don't not post. And I use a double negative on purpose there for like 2 months. A lot of people do that. They'll like go on a streak and then they'll stop posting. So curate your feed, post often when it feels right, but make sure you're not just posting everything. And have a concrete message. Who are you? Are you the son of an immigrant? Talk about that. People may find that story interesting. Are you an ex-D1 football player who now turned real estate agent? That's super interesting. Are you an ex-model? Are you a model who also does real estate? That's also interesting. Don't just talk about one thing.
These are all great tips. Thank you. Where can the viewers out there learn more about you? And more importantly, where can they connect with you?
Just Joe Laresca on Instagram and on my website, on Twitter, everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my man.
Thanks,
These are
man.
great tips.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you stopping by the set of Real Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching another episode. If you saw this on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And for our viewers on Facebook Watch, you know what to do. Like, comment, and share. And we'll see you next time. Stay tuned.